everybody.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Scott.
I'm John.
And we're married.
Right.
Sorry, we already did this once because we messed up. And this is the SweetTeaNoShade knitting podcast.
Is it?
I don't know why it's called a podcast, but we're still going with that since everybody else calls theirs a podcast. And we are a knitting podcast. We are not
A State of Georgia travel podcast.
a State of Georgia travel podcast. Although we did spend some time in Georgia recently.
Yes.
That would be the state of Georgia in the United States, not the country of Georgia in the region that the country of Georgia is in. So, welcome back.
I feel like it's going to be a long episode.
We're going to try to be efficient.
Right. Although, to be fair, I feel like we've said that it'd be short episodes and they end up being like really long. So
Yeah, that's true.
There's like a time distortion. Tachyon particles get involved somehow, I think.
Those tachyon
They're
particles.
so
Why
difficult.
didn't the Star Trek people just like avoid tachyon particles?
Well, if you reverse the tachyon flow, it really solves everything.
It's you have to reverse the
Polarity
of the deflector dish.
Okay.
Okay, so
We might be doing a Star Trek Next Generation rewatch.
yeah. So I'm obsessed with the Next Generation. John is critical of everything.
I am not that critical of everything.
He's critical of Voyager, which is it's not okay to be critical of Voyager because Captain Janeway is my hero. And if I have to hear one more time about is it another episode about the hollow whatever it's called?
You mean Fairhaven?
Fairhaven was fun. Anyway,
They had basically costumes they had to like use or like pay taxes on, and that's what they did.
I can't hear you. We're breaking up. Junior's down here trying to figure out a way to get up on the table. So we have lots of stuff to talk about.
Yes.
We've been to a miniature small part of Vogue Knitting Live. John went to like an all-day knitting thing with Brooklyn Tweed. We've got projects we've been working on. We've got yarn we've bought. We've got stuff we've been gifted by my aunt. We've got stuff that's been added to the giveaways for our knit-along. Got to talk about the knit-along, so we hope to have lots of knitting content.
Yes.
Having said that, I'm going to do what we have started doing in the beginning of most of our episodes, and that is to review the comments, because the comments are basically why I do the podcast. I don't know about why you do you do the podcast because I make you do the podcast.
I do the podcast because not doing it with you would be just kind of, I'm like, I'd watch you be doing it, and I'm like,
You'd be jealous.
I'd be sad. It's something we share together because we love each other.
Oh, right. That's right, I forgot. So, I try to do this in order. I don't know. I think I did do this in order. So, from oldest to newest. So, I am going to put in a link in the description, a little time stamp that you can click on, and it will jump you ahead past the comments if that is not interesting to
But
you.
why would you want to do that? That's the best part.
I don't know. I love the comments. Like, it's so much fun to sit and read the comments. I wish I was, like, in person with everybody so we could chat through stuff. Okay, so... What, is there a cat over there?
No, I'm just coughing.
Oh, okay. So, first thing was, a question was, Scott, where did you get that knitting tool? Oh, of course, I think I left it. No, it's right here.
Okay.
So this knitting tool came up in discussion with our last episode where we were pulling things out of our project bag, and
Yes.
it had gotten lost in a project bag. I literally find myself not needing Notions pouches, full of Notion stuff 99% of the time if I have this with me. And like we've talked about it before, it's got a counter, and it's got a rescue tool.
It's got a measuring tape.
It's got a measuring tape.
It's got a little place in the back for needles, a counter.
It's got this little blade where you can cut yarn. It's got like its own set of measuring tool. And then on the back, it's got a little compartment to put stuff in, and it's got a little pair of fold-up scissors that actually are pretty good scissors. Anyway, Connie B had written in the comments and said, where did you get that knitting tool? And so Betty Ann, my mother, who thinks this is her podcast but refuses to show up on it.
I don't think Betty Ann exists. I think you've made her up.
You just were hanging out with her over Thanksgiving.
I think she's like Snuffleupagus.
That's nice. I'm sure she would love to be compared to Snuffleupagus. Or Snuffleupagus or whatever.
Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Betty Ann says, "Hi, Connie. I will butt in here since I birthed that little brat who throws me under the bus all the time." Okay, first of all, she's being a little extra. A little over the top. She said she can't remember where she got them when she got them for us, but you can get them at theknitkit.com. And they're called the Knit Kit. I don't know. I haven't looked for them on Amazon or anything like that. But yeah, they are amazing.
Yeah.
It
just takes that anxiety away when you're knitting and you're like, oh no, I might need a rescue tool.
Well, especially if you want to run out the door and take some knitting with you to a coffee shop or something like that, all you have to do is grab this. And you know what? Okay, this is totally wasteful, but this makes me want to buy like 10 of them and keep them in each one of my project bags.
I usually try to have that in my project bag, or I have a little tiny notions pouch that should have everything that I might need.
Yeah.
Like a pair of needles, a rescue tool, blah,
A pair of needles? Oh, you mean like tapestry needles?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. A pair?
Those little holders that has a couple of needles in it, like a tapestry needle, something to weave in ends with.
Yeah. I'm just making fun of you.
I know you are. I'm not.
You're not biting.
I'm not.
Okay. So the Bat Lady Knit says, "I do hope." Never mind. I'm not gonna. I was gonna organize the comments, but I just chose to not, because it's too much.
Too much
time.
work.
Too much work. I do hope one of you will wear that gorgeous shawl or wrap that Scott is almost finished with. The blue yarn that is going to be frogged from John's sweater is so pretty. I do hope one of you makes a sweater out of it. So we definitely will.
I actually think I have a pattern in mind that I want to use, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I have to make sure it's the right weight.
She says, she enjoyed the kick in the butt. She had 23 projects in process. But the thing that I'm excited about that she commented on is the one that she's going to use for the knit along is from 1999.
Good for her. That's awesome.
So that'll be fun. And by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, we're doing a knit along that's the Finish It Cal. You have to be careful when you say that, not to accidentally say some adult words or an adult word. The Finish It Cal. And yeah, so there's details about it in our last episode and on our Ravelry page, and we'll also talk about it a little bit more. Then Wayne Yar, I know he's commented before. I have a hard time connecting faces with names and Ravelry people with commenters and stuff like that, but I recognize the name. He says, "But being a monogamous knitter, I hate this Cal." And then he says, "Maybe I should just quick start something and lie." Of course you can quick start something and lie.
Yeah, no, I think someone...
If you can get something
yeah,
done that... Well, I mean, I guess it's a couple months, so it's not too bad, but... Yeah, anyway, go ahead, what were you going to say?
Yeah, we had a couple of people asking us about rules and stuff like that, and we have I call them suggested guidelines.
I mean, I would hate for someone to win a nice skein of yarn or something like that who spent 5 minutes on it, on whatever they were working on or whatever, but hey, if it gets you to finish it, like my shawl that I've got like that much left on it and I have not finished it, but we decided I wasn't allowed. I mean, obviously we're not eligible for our own prizes, but you told me I wasn't allowed to use that one because it was too little left done. What was I going to do?
I don't remember.
I forget what I was going to use for my Finish It Cal, for the Finish It Knit Along. Oh well.
Yeah, no, it'll probably come up in the dig through.
Yeah, it's over here somewhere. Huh. Okay, anyway. Then, okay, Sasha Contreras, I have no idea. I had to put her comment in here because it was so hilarious. Totally our sense of humor. She says, "I was appalled at this blatant, shameless display." Have you two no shame? So many UFOs. I found you by chance on YouTube while I was monogamously, and she scratched it out, knitting, and watching some of my knitting podcasts. I'm compelled to subscribe now just to see more of this foolish shamelessness. I laughed out loud when I read that.
So what's kind of amazing is we have a little, what do you call it? We have a ladder with some hooks on it that we use to sort of hang all our project bags on, and it looks like real sad right now. It was like overflowing, and it looked like and now it just looks like kind of lonely.
Yeah.
But oh well.
I bet the thing I was going to do for the knit along is over there in one of those.
Could be. I think we did that.
Hat or something?
I don't.
Why can I not remember? Okay. The next one is I do use nylon to reinforce the heels and toe. Oh, this is by Diving Anyone, also known in my pronunciation as Davigne. I do use nylon to reinforce the heels and toes on my husband's socks. I used the same color as the socks, so it didn't really change the color, but it does make the fabric more dense. So this was back to a discussion.
I have a cat who's attacking my backside.
He was attacking mine earlier. Okay, Linus wanted to join us. So, yeah. So there was a discussion about this nylon thread that had come along with some yarn that I bought. It was like Rowan or something like that. I can't remember.
Oh yeah,
exactly
it came in with like they gave it.
It was tucked inside the skein.
Yeah.
And I asked if anybody ever used that, and
do you hold it marled when you do it?
Yeah,
okay.
you hold it
as if you're marling.
Yeah, and so yeah, it ended up. I mean, I've never used it, but people have, and I would assume that you would use it, especially with yarn that doesn't have nylon in it already.
Right, or you know that you just want to reinforce it just in case. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't had. I mean, I've only been wearing knitted socks for a year now. And so none of them have gotten enough wear. I don't, none of them have, there's a pair of blue ones that I have that I wear probably the most. Mm-hmm. And they're pilling, mm-hmm. but they don't seem to be wearing through.
Right.
Those ankle socks that I made. So anyway. The next one is from Dana Brown. She says, I'm finishing a V-neck by Jane Ellison from her Queensland collection. It's a great book of men's sweaters. Beautiful classic looks. You would like it. And I feel like somebody's mentioned that before. All right. So,
meet our co-host.
Yeah, this is our co-host Linus. So anyway, the Queensland collection book, I feel like somebody's mentioned that before, but I haven't looked at it myself. I don't know if it's in print still, blah, blah, blah. And from her, well, actually, I don't know that it is, just from her Queensland collection. We will look more into that. Thank you. We do greatly appreciate
because the last recommendation we got was that Dapper.
That's coming up in discussion.
Okay, yeah.
So that's from Dana Brown.
Which was, yeah.
Yeah, Dana Brown made that recommendation, so we will check that out.
Great.
Then there were a couple people that commented on the fix that we did, the skin tag, the sweater skin tag. Remember when you had that weird poop?
Oh yeah, the knitting
fix.
Yep. That was like an episode and a half ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was great to see the sweater vest fix. I recently laddered down several inches to fix a 16-inch wide staghorn cable.
So you tried doing that with your cable.
Yes, that's right. We'll have to talk about that. Yeah. I had 2 fix-it tools plus a set of DPNs to hold it all in place as I worked my way back up.
Right.
Super stressful. No, I'm reading. Super stressful, but I was proud of myself that I was able to figure it out as a new knitter. This is from CDA. So, yeah, I've got more to learn about it because I did have a cable that I had twisted the wrong way, and I was just like, well, I know, I think I can ladder down to fix this, and I'll show how it turned up. It turned out it did not look good.
Right.
That's okay. More to the point, I brought this up with Betty Ann about laddering down and fixing things, and she had never heard of it before.
Really?
And I'm like, really? You mean the thing we talked about on our episode you'd never heard of before? Which tells me that she is not rapt with attention when she's watching our episodes.
Only when we talk about her.
I wonder if she's multitasking the whole time.
She probably is.
So yeah. Let's see here. The next one is Wayne again, Wayne Yar. He said, I love you. He thought the Betty Ann improv was happening. I wish it were improv. Talking about her tube top and
all
that stuff.
Lord, I mean, I wish it was fictional.
I wish it was fictional.
I mean, it's funny, but it's sad.
Oh Lord. So she said, he said he's been with his partner for 38 years.
Wow.
Which is such an inspiration. So that's really awesome. Then Catherine Hastings said, check out Guys Knit by Nathan Taylor, aka the Sockmatician.
We have things to talk about that.
We do. He was actually at the small part of Vogue Knitting Live that we went to. We didn't get to meet him one-on-one, but he was in the panel that we
watched. It was really fun.
We saw. Yeah, it was really, really awesome. Then Catherine goes on to say it's a Haynes manual. I don't know what that means. Do you?
No, but that sounds familiar, so I don't know.
He said, look at his latest YouTube video announcing the launch of the book. Love your podcast. Oh, she's from the remote west of Ireland, which is awesome. Then Kate said that we were mentioned by the Knit Girls podcast, which is awesome. And I think one of the Knit Girls, I can't remember her name, but she actually gifted us the Pixel Rise pattern.
Oh,
early
nice.
on, which I've done the socks for. And Kate lives in South Minneapolis.
Oh, cool.
And she goes to the yarnery a lot too. So that was cool. I always love hearing from local knitters. And then Joe Cipher asked, have we been to the yarn store at the Mall of America?
Yes.
You know what I think would be fun would be to do like and I'd be curious to know what other people think. It would be fun to do I think that store is very unique. Not in a bad way. It's just, it's different than like a Joann or Michael's. And it's very different than a local yarn store.
Yeah, it's kind of
like somewhere, it's like it's trying to be a local yarn store, but it's full of mass-produced yarns.
Right, but some local, right? I can't remember.
No, I don't think there were any local stuff in it. It's just an odd thing. And so, I'm curious what I wanted to know was if other people have filmed inside other stores before. I've not seen knitting YouTubers where they film inside a store. Because, I think it would be kind of fun to start doing a series where we go into the different yarn stores in Minnesota and film.
Yeah.
Because there's like 20 of them or something. And like go through and film and...
Well, I think because I just find the differences in yarn stores is really interesting.
Yeah. So I just don't know if... I guess we could go in and ask the person working there.
Yeah.
And what's the worst they can say is no.
Right.
So anyway.
Okay.
So yes, we have been to that yarn store, and it's... The Mall of America is a 5-minute drive from our house.
Yeah, if that.
If that. It's probably a mile.
Yeah.
From our house. So, it's... When we go shopping, we go there, more often than... I don't know. I don't go out shopping that much, but when we do, we just want to go...
Right, just walk around.
Yeah, because there's a billion stores in it.
There's a movie theater in there we go to.
Oh yeah, there's a nice movie theater now. But anyway, we have been to the store, and like I said, it's got some... It's been a while now. I feel like it's been about 6 months since we've been, but it was mainly mass-produced, a lot of acrylic yarns. Mm-hmm. Which we don't knit with as much, but there were some blends. But there was like Malabrigo too.
Yeah, it was. I would say.
But it was mainly like cotton and acrylic.
Yeah.
Or acrylic blends.
Yeah, it's just an interesting model because usually you either have sort of a large big box store, right, which is the Joann's or Michael's, or even like going to Walmart and stuff like that, where they have a craft section, or you have the local yarn store, which is a little more, about trying to, do the more wool blends and highlighting local dyers and stuff like that. And there's a little bit of a hybrid of the two, because the inside space, like the size, felt like a local yarn store, because it's about, it's small, but it carries for the range of yarn it carried was a little different than a usual local yarn store.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's like a chain? Or...
Well, it is a chain, but I get the impression
What's it called again? It's like yarn?
No, it's called knit. Or crochet. I think that there's a chain of stores called Knit and Crochet.
Okay.
And I feel like this one was called Knit, or it was. I feel like it was one of the words, but not both. So it was either crochet or it was knit. The word knit. So anyway, yes, we have been to the store, and I just got an idea about doing this yarn store tour. That might be fun. Then Small Footprint commented and said, "I love knitting the Norwegian style. I've given up on knitting so many times but now that I've learned the Norwegian style knitting."
Crochet stores. This is their first U.S. location.
Oh.
Interesting.
But I feel like the word knit was in there.
It says crochet store.
Okay. Well, the thing that made me laugh about it was that, not laugh, but I felt so bad for the woman who was working there, and I feel bad for all the people that own local yarn stores, because this woman was like, "I want to knit." And she's like, "Okay, well, what would you like to knit?" "Well, I don't know." I mean, it was just like, "What do I buy?" And it was just like, oh, where do you even start with someone like that? So anyway, back to what this comment about Small Footprint. It was like, they were saying, Lynn was saying the thing about knitting the Norwegian style, which I've watched Arnie and Carlos, their YouTube show, and they've talked about the Norwegian style of knitting, and I've watched Arnie do that quite a bit, and so I can't describe it enough it seems to be similar to continental knitting to me, but yeah, so the next one was from Kristen H, and she said, I haven't knit in 3 months. Halfway through the show, I paused it and picked up a whip. Thanks for the inspiration." So that's awesome. And then she said, she does find the 9-inch circulars faster, but she does magic loop 2 at a time because she never marks or remembers when she's changed something, which makes sense.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so... and if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, if you search for like magic loop 2 at a time socks, I don't know who. I feel like the I'm not going to be able to remember, but there are people that have tutorials and stuff like that. Then Ian Sharps said, "I don't know if anyone mentioned it, but Knitpicks has just released a collection of men's patterns called Dapper." So we did buy that. I think I brought it up with me. Yeah. Oh, excuse me, Linus. So, this is the book, and yeah, it really does have some amazing stuff in it. So, where's the one that...
I like that one, the Esquire sweater.
Yeah, there's sweaters and scarves, and there was one particular...
There's a cowl.
Yeah, there's just some cool stuff. Oh, I think this one is the one that I really liked. It reminds me of the what's the free pattern? I think it's by Tin Can Knits, the sweater that everybody does, and it's got like baby all the way up to adult men sizes. Anyway, it's a really awesome, but it does have great patterns in it if you're interested in men's patterns.
Yeah.
And then oh, and I forgot to look at this. Sorry, Ian from Scotland said, I don't know if it's the same Ian, but it says, "Love the podcasts. With regards to men's patterns, I'm currently knitting the Strita sweater from Knitting with Icelandic Wool.
Ooh.
The sweater/book can be viewed on Ravelry. I bought the book, and there are honestly about 5 sweaters I will probably knit." So that's another.
Nice.
And it's Stryta, Strita. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but... So, that's the comments. So now let's kind of jump around, move through our projects, move through talking about what we've done, stuff like that. What do you want to start with? Do you want to start with something?
Do you have an organized outline?
No. I'm drinking my wine.
Cal horror.
I'm trying to loosen up a bit in my old age.
Well, I can start with my finished object. How about that?
Oh, that'd be fun.
Oh no!
Okay, focus.
Oh no!
You're getting sucked into his.
Oh no!
You're getting sucked. Okay, people are bored.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
They don't want to watch you rub a kitty cat belly. Okay.
Okay.
Pick up your finished pattern.
All right. Finished object. So.
It doesn't even look like a cat though. It's like a pillow.
I know, it's a big
Doesn't even look
fuzzy
like
mess.
a real-
So anyway, this is actually for our knit along. So this was the I picked this up. Hang on. Crud. I wrote down all the details. It's on a piece of paper down by the bottom. All right. So this is what I did for our knit along. The finish it knit along. So this is it is a cabled scarf. And I think before it was maybe about here. I don't know how much I had done, but it is a cabled scarf, and it is a pattern. It's on Ravelry. It's on Ravelry page. It's called a cabled scarf by Crystal Palace Yarns, and I knit it with two colors, obviously. Two of Malabrio Rigo Rios. The greenish one is called Ivy. And the purplish one is called Cloud Sunshine. And so yeah, the cow works because I don't think this has been languishing for a long time.
Hold it still for a second. Every one of these, everything is a cable.
Yeah.
I don't know if let me do it.
Yeah.
Like this.
So it's basically
every in it is a cable.
Every third row you cable every stitch. Pretty much. So it was really fun. It's been really fun to do, but literally I was looking at when did I create the project on Ravelry, which is not a good indication when I started it, but it was October 26, 2017.
So over a year ago.
Over a year ago.
Yeah, it's the work in it is amazing.
Yeah, I really like it. It's actually
It's a kind of a basket weavy.
Yeah, it's a basket weave, and I like the. I started this. I bought the color. I bought the colors for a sweater or a
double knitted hat.
No, double knitted scarf, a checkerboard scarf. But then double knitting started to make me a little.
Oh, you know what? You bought it at the
Yarn Hop 2 years. I bought the yarn
Hop 2 years
ago.
2 yarn hops ago.
So anyway, it's lovely. It's done. There was a lot of hemming and hawing on how long it needed to be. And Scott reminded me that not everything has to be a Doctor Who scarf.
Right.
So it's about 6 feet long. And it's just a nice little, when I wear it, it's very warm. So it's always nice to finish a scarf right when it gets cool. So the way I usually wear it is like this. Yay.
Yay.
So yeah, it's done. And so now I'm not. I put it on both the Instagram and the Facebook page, and I had this lovely empty. If you look over there, there's an empty project bag.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and I have another 2 skeins of this yarn in these colors. And I've got to figure out what I want to do with them. I want to do like mittens or something like that. Cause I like how these colors go together a lot.
And is that a DK weight?
Whatever Rios is, it probably is.
Malabrigo Rios is something, yeah.
Well,
okay, so I have a finished pattern.
An object, I believe.
A finished object, yes, not a finished pattern. Mine's a pair of socks because I'm obsessed with knitting socks. And this is a pair of socks for me. And it is, so here's the one sock. I think I've shown the one sock before, and here's the second sock to prove that I actually did it. But basically all this is the Rose City Rollers pattern with a knitted leg and a 2x2 rib at the top. And so it's Arnie and Carlos designed Regia, I think. Mm-hmm. So it has those variations in the yarn built in. It's got a heel flap and gusset construction. And if it's okay, I'm going to jump into one of my works in progress, since it's also a sock. So I was watching the not the Grocery Girls, the Bakery Bears, which is a very popular knitting podcast, and they were talking about the fact that a knit two together, a slip knit is the same thing. It's either a knit two together or a slip knit is the same thing as a knit one or a slip one, knit one, slip one over. Which they're both left-leaning decreases or right-leaning decreases. I don't remember which. But in this one, I did the slip knit on one side and the knit two together on the other side, which was what the pattern called for. So I decided to try what they were talking about. And on this sock, I've done the knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one over. And so I'll try to insert a close-up of the two of the differences. But, so like, I'm trying to find out here. Yeah, I don't even know. Which is but anyway, I couldn't tell that much of a difference. I think it has more to do with which you prefer to do, because they look identical to me. So, but anyway, so this is my next sock that I'm doing, and it's kind of crazy colors. It's this yarn that John bought kind of on a whim when we were in Atlanta back in the summer, and it's Louisa Harding Pachura Superwash Fine Merino with Bamboo. So it's 75% wool and 25% viscose, which I think is where the bamboo comes in. It's 100 grams, 400 meters for 437 yards. I don't remember the name of the store that you bought it in.
I don't remember either.
It's made in Italy, and the color is 619. It doesn't have a colorway name, but the thing about this yarn is that it's very extremely soft. And I think that's where the 25% viscose from bamboo is maybe what makes it that, but it's super soft, and it's
I like the shininess.
It's shiny. And it's slippery, which makes it, if you're comfortable with that, it makes it really fast to knit socks with. So anyway, that's my next pair of socks. And I'm doing this for a friend of mine. And I'm trying something where I'm not going to actually like physically measure his feet. He told me his shoe size. And so there's a chart that I found online that's like, if you have a shoe size, if it's a men's shoe size X, then from the heel turn to where the toe decreases begin is this many inches. So I'm gonna try that with this. I'm on the foot now, and so I'm gonna try that. Let me see if I can put this on the. I don't know if you can do this.
You're gonna drop 8 million stitches.
You know what, John? Nobody likes you.
I'm not picking them up for you.
Yeah, like you ever pick up stitches. Anyway, I just wanted to get it on here enough to kind of show kind of the crazy colors. And it's a little more, I would say, it's showing up a little more muted. It's a little more neon-y in person. So anyway, that's the sock that I'm working on. And speaking of this project, I've been knitting it out of this yarn bowl that my aunt got us, and it's John's. You can see he's got a little cat looking into his. Mine has the same thing, but my cat broke off. But you can just glue him back, so it's a little ceramic yarn bowl. So I thought those were cool. All right, John. What else? Do you want to talk about...
I will talk about my sock, since that's...
Oh, okay.
So, this is my sock. I am on my second sock, sort of. So, this is... This is the first sock.
You finished one.
It's not finished, but... So,
oh, that's right. Okay, sorry.
So, it's... I don't know. So, this is the socks. The... Mr.
Cat's gonna go away now.
Bye, Linus. The yarn for the main sock is called Parcel Tongue Sensible Sock. And then for the toe, I am doing...
I think part of the problem is my shirt is such a crazy color that none of the other colors are picking up very well.
So this is... And for the toe, I have this yarn left over from the shawl I did, which is Copper Corgi, Savannah Sock, Carolina Fibergulls. And I'm going to be doing the toe in that, or the heels in that when I get to it. And what I like about it is that I feel like the colors are kind of close enough, and I don't know if you can really see it that well, but it looks like you almost dipped the sock into like dark ink, and it stained it. So that makes me happy. And I have been obsessed with this yarn and this colorway. I used it in my doodler shawl, and I love using it and stuff. And then I was excited because I did the toe and I used DPNs on it, and I've always struggled with them. And then I basically got to the point towards the end where I was actually, I wouldn't say enjoying, but I was fine with it. It worked just fine. And so I haven't put the heel on this one yet, but I'm gonna put the toe, knit this one, put the toe on it, and then do the heels at the same time. So this will be...
Do you have the DPNs in there?
Yes.
I just wanted to show them real quick.
Yeah.
So they're knit picks, and they're the rainbow wood.
Yeah.
Wait, what are they called? 5-inch Harmony Wood double pointed needle set.
Yeah.
Love this needle set.
There's something about the
Really. But the wood is the reason I call it the rainbow wood.
It's like both slippery and not slippery, which I like.
Well, and they're very sturdy because I've broken double pointed needles before knitting with them, and they're very. Oh, we're having a cat fight over there.
Yeah, I don't know.
The wood is stained rainbow colors, so it's very pretty.
Yeah, they're great. I liked.
I accidentally stole. Did I tell you I stole Betty Ann's
set?
No, just the one of the 2.25 millimeter or the 2.5 millimeter, and accidentally brought them home with me.
Dope.
Oops.
So anyway, those are it's getting there. This is my bust knitting. So, and I started this one. Maybe this is like this is 3 weeks of work, maybe 3.5. So this one's actually going really quickly. So.
How do you feel about sock knitting?
I'm still not a fan. I think I will probably, if I'm going to do socks in the future, and I actually just bought a sock pattern, so I think I'm going to buy ones that are either a little, I think the striping yarn will help, or there's got to be some sort of pattern to it, because this is... Yeah, it's fine. I just don't. This knitting doesn't make me. I don't like go. Ooh, I just knit something.
It's the process versus product knitting.
Yeah,
thing,
exactly. I like knitting it. I'll be really happy when I get them done. But this might almost count as part of the cal, except I've been kind of working on it steadily. For about a year. Yeah,
these socks I'm doing for a friend of mine as a gift, and so I just wanted to get them done. But the next socks that I'm gonna knit I'm gonna try Baba Yaya's Wendy Gecker, I think is how you say her name. She has a pattern on Ravelry, and it's a sock pattern where you start with the heel.
That sounds spooky.
So I'm excited. Either I bought the pattern or she gifted us the pattern.
Okay.
Or something like that. But anyway, I'm excited to try that, right? I knit, she's the one that did that hat that was like double-sided.
Oh, we should talk about, so that's a good segue to my next project.
Okay, take it away.
All right. So, unless you want to talk more about that.
Oh, I always want to talk more, but you can talk.
So, and this is not even a project. So, all right, put this to the side. So I'm actually working on, we have a friend of ours who just moved up to Minnesota from South Carolina.
Yes.
And I was like, and he has always been very complimentary and excited about the knitting. I'm like, well, I'll make you a hat. So, you know how sometimes you like going through patterns and whatever, and you're like, oh, that pattern is for that person. So this hat, which I'm going to make, oh goodness, dig through. Okay, here it is. I'm using, and again, this is not even uncaked yet, 'cause I've been just swatching and figuring out how it works. But I'm going to use, it's a colorwork hat. I'll use, this is the green, which is, we got this at the Woolen Mill in...
Isn't it like Blackberry Mills?
Blackberry Ridge Mills, which we got in Wisconsin this time last year. And I'm going to pair it with the Spanish Moss from Copper Corgi, because I always love Copper Corgi so much.
Copper Corgi's awesome.
And so it's like what Scott's talking about. It's a double hat where there's kind of a lining, it's reversible. And so, but the exciting thing, and hopefully he's not watching this because I don't think he does. So the outside is this lovely kind of like Scandinavian snowflake, whatever. And then the inside lining has a slightly more naughty pattern. It's
when two reindeers
love each other very much. In the woods.
In the woods.
Yeah, you might get this pattern. So, anyway, I saw this hat pattern. I'm like, oh god, I have to knit this for our friend Gerald. And so it's funny because I started swatching it, and
this is gonna be so exciting.
So I started swatching it, and the first swatched color, and this is more for size, I did it, and I had caked up this yarn to do with it, which I love this yarn, but I was doing the color work, and it just didn't, it looked really muddy.
You couldn't see the...
Right. So as I swatch, and then I need
to see the swatch.
Yeah, you can't...
I mean, you can kind of see it up close, like it would work for mittens or something, but it's...
For mittens or for something that wasn't
it's not
so...
distinct enough.
Right. If you didn't mind it being a very subtle thing, but this is... Part of the whole joke of this is that...
Like a yoke of a sweater or something.
Right.
Like that'd be a nice sweater combo.
Yeah, but like for something that needs to, like, in this case, tell the story of two reindeers in love, I decided that I'd want to go for a more little contrast.
Do you know who the designer of the reindeer hat pattern is?
So it's kind of a mashup. This woman, it's called the Basic Line Pattern from Elise Cohen, Lazy Knits, suitable for use with Annie's Fornicating Reindeer Chart. So the hat pattern is from Elise Cohen, or Lazy Knits, and then she's incorporating Anaja's Fornicating Reindeer Chart pattern. So
I can't wait to see this.
I'm so excited. So this is my this is the project that I am. I can show you a picture. Well, no, we won't.
It'll be more fun to show
it in person.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what is interesting about this right now, or not interesting, is so it starts with a provisional cast on, and so I'm trying to teach myself how to do that, and I found a way, because normally when you've done them, you've done the crochet chain, and then you knit off the crochet chain, and I found a way to do it where you go directly onto the needle, because that seemed easier to me. And so I've been doing that, but oh my god, I know that crocheting is a valid way to make fabric, but it's so hard.
So I crochet long before I knit, and I did a couple Afghans and stuff, and the first time I did a provisional cast on where I crocheted a chain and then I knit off of that, I was like, John, I know you, and I love you very much, but you're going to want to murder yourself and everyone around you when you try to do this, because I knew that it's futzy and it's going to make him crazy.
Yeah.
Who did the provisional cast onto a needle?
I can't remember.
Okay.
I just looked through, like, there are a couple of videos about it. I can't remember whose tutorial I'm looking at, but
because every time I've done it, I knit the crochet chain and then I stick my needle I stick one needle in the loop and then I knit, and that puts
you pick up the stitches.
You pick up the stitch, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and this is one of those.
And
even
that makes me.
So
insane.
I think problem number one, I don't know how to crochet.
Right.
Or I mean, I know
You
how
don't,
to.
like you told me, you don't have the muscle memory of
Right.
crocheting, so you're not. For me, it was just like, blah, 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 and I have done the chain.
Yeah, and this is so. And then also the crochet hook I'm using, and I'll get a different one for it now. Is like this like really long Tunisian. I think you said it was
Afghan stitch or Tunisian stitch.
right.
Needle.
And so I'm like,
yeah.
so that was my last night fun. I will get it done. I'm trying to get this done for Christmas, so that's coming up. But I think that once I get it cast on, it'll be
pretty
fast.
It's a
hats
hat,
are fast for me.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of hats, I'll talk about my hat.
Okay, I'm like,
So this is in my Doctor Who bag. And the person who makes these bags, I don't think they sell them online or anything. This is also, I had in a previous episode, I had shown my Dia de los Muertos themed bag by the same person. And it's made by elves in Minnesota is what the tag says, but it's, I think, a sibling of someone who owns the Three Kittens yarn store here in Minneapolis.
yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, they don't sell online or anything like that, but so, oh, I was like, where's the hat? It fell out of the, so first of all, the yarn is from that Blackberry Ridge Mills in San Francisco. This is a bluish color. I don't actually know.
It's not in San Francisco, it's in Wisconsin.
Did I say San Francisco?
You did.
I don't know where I got that from.
I don't know. It's a very different part of the country than San Francisco.
That's strange. Anyway, it's bluish yarn. I don't know what the colorway name is. I don't think they have colorways for their name, do they?
No, it's just
Dark turquoise.
No.
So it's a silk blend, actually. It doesn't, I mean, it's 75% wool, 25% silk. It's not superwash, though. So it feels very rustic, even though it's got silk in it. So it's not slippery at all like you would think with a silk.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel to me like there's any silk in it, but...
well, silk doesn't necessarily, I mean, I think there with silk thread, you can make it silkier.
I don't know, so...
Because, like, raw silk feels very different than finished silk.
Oh, yeah. So this hat, and I'm going to have to insert the name of the designer at the bottom, but it's the aviator hat.
You're almost done with that.
I don't know how much is done after you do this part, but anyway,
Okay.
It's got ear flaps on the side, and then on the front, it's got, can you hold it like this?
Like that. Okay.
And then on the front, it's got this flap that folds up. So now you can kind of see it's like I don't know if it's like Elmer Fudd but it's, and then it's
Kind
got,
of, yeah.
it's got little, keep holding it please. And then it's got little buttons that go right here to attach the flap to the hat. So,
I feel like it's a very upper Midwestern hat.
yeah, it's awesome. It's, the pattern's really easy, and you basically knit the ear flaps and the front flap in pieces, and then I had never done this before, but basically you knit those pieces and keep them on waste yarn, and then you pick them up and join them all together in the round. And then you knit the top of the hat in the round. The one thing that I'm struggling with, I would say struggling with, is that it's garter stitch in the round. So it's a row of knitting and a row of purling. I'm fine with that, except that it's just making me slower than I normally would if I was just knitting. Plus, when I'm purling, I have to look at my knitting, and when I'm knitting, just doing knit stitch in the round, I can like look up and watch TV or whatever, but I can't do that when I'm purling. So,
but you tried Portuguese knitting a little bit.
Yeah,
and that wasn't.
I can see where it would be faster, but it's just
not what you're.
I have to learn the muscle memory of that, and right
Right.
now I've got the purling muscle memory. It's just I can't look up, and it's a little bit slower for me. So, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to finish it. And this is for us to have, and I'm just excited to have another hat.
Yeah. Tis the season.
Tis the season. All right, so that is that. I have another work in progress. Do you have another work in progress? What?
I do, but it'll take 2 seconds to show.
Okay, go ahead and do it.
So, the other work in progress I have is I'm finishing up mitten number 2 of the Manitoba maple leaf mitten. So, finish the first one up. I'll bring out the first one so you can sort of see it. So this is the mitten.
I'm so jealous. Those are so cool.
I know. They're so. It's one of those things like I put it on. I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be so warm.
Excuse me. Can I try it on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this copper corgi?
Yep. This is the copper corgi for the cuff and the sort of 4-color, and then the gray I believe is Cascade.
Oh, that's right, Cascade 220.
Yeah.
And then the cuff is
copper corgi Nutmeg.
That's right.
So yeah. So I'm trying to do this one a little at a time because
I didn't notice the branches wrap around.
Yeah.
To the back to the palm.
So this is like one of the things because it's color work and it's the pattern. I don't know if you can tell or not when you're doing this pattern. You have to really pay attention to the pattern. You can't just like, if you're doing like a hat, sometimes there's like the same 8 stitches over and over again. So you look at the pattern once and sort of go through. So this actually takes a little while. So I'm trying to do a little bit every day, which I'm not. But you know.
Are you not knitting it inside out?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
so
you're just showing it.
I'm just showing it. So it's knitting inside out. So I'm gonna hopefully get this done before end of the year too. I feel like it's getting there. I just need to sit down and do 4 or 5 rows a day. I'll be fine. Yeah. So yeah, that's the.
So you're knitting that inside. Do you remember who the pattern's by?
Let me look.
It was the pattern.
Oh yeah, it was it was called Manitoba Maple Leaves. It is by it is by Laura Harvey.
That's right.
She was one of the designers. It was one of the patterns that was sort of selected as a pattern for the Manitoba Fiber Festival.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the name of the Manitoba Fiber Festival. So, sorry guys that I'm yawning so much.
We got up early today.
We did get up real early. We actually we did something fun this morning. I'll try to see if I can find a clip and insert it or something.
Yeah.
But, we were on the news, our local news this morning because we're both in the Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus. I rejoined it this year, and
we did a little promo.
Yeah, on the local news, so that was fun. So we had to get up really early to get down to the news station for the morning show. So, I have one more thing that I'm working on. This is my amazing Dye Monkey Yarns tote bag that Jessie gave me. DyeMonkeyYarns.com. I love to carry my stuff around in it because you can put multiple projects in here. So this is something that, and it'll be a good segue, that I was going to have finished by now. And that did not happen because it was a lot more complicated than I thought. And that is my sweater vest. So this is by Jared Flood. I don't remember the name of the sweater vest. Oh, wait a second. I've got it right here. It is 9 million page long pattern. And that's because it's got charts and it's the Hunter Gainsey style vest by Brooklyn Tweed. And Jared Flood was the designer. So basically you knit the body, which I've done. And then once you get to the top, you divide for the armholes, and then you knit the back, and then you knit the front and you bring them together. And then you pick up and do the edges for the sleeves and the neck. And then it's, if you can see at the top, it's got like a chevrons and cables and stuff. It's a very fun pattern. I'm using Bare Naked Wool's yarn, and it's This is oh gosh, I'm gonna put
It's like
it at
cinnamon toast or something like that.
well, the fiber content, I think it's wool and alpaca.
Okay.
But I'll put that in the bottom of the screen. But it's Bare Naked Wools, and it's I think it's their breakfast blend is what they called it.
Oh, right.
But it's amazing yarn. I love the feel of it. It's so soft, and so I love it. But so I tried it on, and it fits me great. The problem is that I think I knit the body too long. So by the time I get done with the...
But as long as the arm, if it can lay a little low, that's fine.
Yeah, I know. I think it, but I don't know if I am gonna like the way it falls on, where it falls on me.
What if I like the way it falls on me?
No, no. No. I'm sorry. Delete. So what I might do, and I've seen,
You gonna steek it and cut it?
yeah, but not steek it. What I've seen is Fruity Knitting is a very popular knitting podcast, and there was a sleeve or something that their daughter was doing, and she did it too long, and so what they did was they picked up the stitches just like you would an afterthought heel if you're doing a sock. You pick up the stitches. In this case, it was on either side of. Like, let's say I wanted to move like 1.5 inches. You would pick up the stitches 1.5 inches apart, and then you would cut and unravel in between, and then you've got live stitches that you can graft together.
Would that create a seam?
No, not if you Kitchener, because Kitchener makes it look just like knitting.
Right, but you have to. Okay, that blew my mind a little bit. Yeah, that would make sense. You want there be an inside seam though, right?
No.
Okay.
It's basically like you would do the knit stitches with a needle.
Okay. Cool.
The bottom line is I'm only going to do that if it's like down to my knees or something like that, which obviously I don't think that's going to be.
I feel like you would also give it to me.
No, I want to wear something that I made. So anyway, what I've learned from that is that I really need to measure the length of my torso, which I didn't do. Well, and I could have modified the pattern.
Well, and did you? So I never, and this is, I never swatch for height.
Oh, your row height.
I never do I only swatch
I
for
never do that either.
For width, because I figure that I'll measure, because most patterns you.
And I
don't know.
My thing is I don't want to get discouraged for knitting garments. I'm going to keep plowing ahead and make it work, because I want to get to the point where I can just knit sweaters. And the other thing I do is the next thing I'm going to do is a super easy pattern. Not one with all these. You can see there's like a grid thing at the bottom, and then it's like all these cables and chevrons, and it's going to be beautiful when it's done, but it's just a little complicated. Yeah. And I'd really rather focus on the measurements. I should have picked something simple so that I could focus on the measurement part of it first. As opposed to all the busyness of the pattern. Yeah. So, and this is the one where I had tried to repair the cable by going down. But I didn't do it right. I didn't fix it right.
We were trying to work on it together, and it was.
I'll show a picture of it.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out how to make the cable pattern work when you're bringing the stitches up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We tried though.
I'm sure there's a way to do it. I just didn't do it correctly. And it's not so bad and glaring that I'm gonna rip it out or anything like that. So. No. All right, that's that. So speaking of Jared Flood and Brooklyn Tweed.
So, a couple of months ago, I saw on Instagram that the Yarnery, which is one of our local yarn stores, and that is kind of the place to go in the Twin Cities if you're going to buy Brooklyn Tweed. They have like walls of it. It's pretty amazing. They're kind of the local yarn store that partners with Brooklyn Tweed as a distributor. They announced this day with Brooklyn Tweed, or
actually it was a weekend.
A weekend, where they would have basically the whole Brooklyn Tweed company. They had, Jared Flood, who is the head designer, CEO, I don't know.
Yeah. He started it.
He started it. The founder, I guess is a better way to put it. Gudrun Johnson, who is one of their pattern designers, and then they had 2 other people who work kind of the operations supply stuff. And they were all there. It was put on by the Yarnery. And I bought it for Scott because we were like, we should buy one. And it was the 3rd weekend in November, and then so Scott was very excited. He was going to. They had this little thing where you were asked to wear a Brooklyn Tweed garment you had created in Scott's.
Which is what that was.
Right. The plan was to do that, and then our plans changed, and it turned out Scott was going to be in Georgia that weekend.
Hurricane Michael happened.
Yeah.
And the only time that I could go down and help my family clean up from that was that weekend.
Yeah.
And actually, if I had paid attention before I bought my plane tickets, I could have adjusted for that. But
well, with Thanksgiving, I think being so early this year,
yeah.
I think it just kind of messed up. Anyway, so so Scott couldn't go, so I went instead, and it was really, really fun.
And I think that was his plan all along.
Yes.
Was to be like, oh, honey, you can go.
So,
and then figure out a way to brainwash me into making it so he could go.
Yeah, so it was basically a day with all the Brooklyn Tweed folks. What they did was really cool. They gave us a pattern for a hat and the yarn. So you had everyone...
Is this a Gudrun Johnson hat?
I don't
The
know.
reason I ask is that I saw that she just released a new hat pattern.
Wait, I have the pattern somewhere.
And I was wondering if that was the same
It is
pattern.
called... No, it's by Jared Flood. It's
Okay.
called Seeds by Jared Flood. It's a...
For a second, just tip it back a little bit.
colorwork pattern. So we got there, and on the table were all these boxes that had the pattern, and they told you what needles to bring, and then they gave you the yarn, which is in different colors depending on the different boxes. So I started on it, and then realized I hadn't swatched it, and it was all kinds of a disaster. And so I started it, and then realized I wasn't really paying attention to what they were saying because
You were knitting instead of listening.
Right, I was doing some listening and wasn't knitting well. So I stopped it, I frogged it, and I'll come back to it. So it's a cute pattern. Again, the yarn is, what is the yarn they gave us? Is their loft wool.
It's Targhee wool.
Targhee wool, yeah. So all this. So anyway,
Targhee Columbia. So it's I just want to look at the content pattern or the content. I guess it's just 100% American Targhee Columbia wool.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay.
So anyway, I'm excited to do this hat at some point because it's really pretty. But basically, the day was they had basically people from Brooklyn Tweed kind of talking about how they get from the sheep to the yarn to the dyeing to the spinning to pattern designing.
Well, so we haven't talked about that. You and I should sit down because I'd be really interested to hear what you remember from that talk.
Yeah, it was really fun because they had the first person who talked was the person who really talked about this is what a 2-ply wool is, and that was the one I missed because I was working on the pattern, which I felt bad about because it was really interesting, but I was deep in the stitches. And then they had Gudrun Johnson, who's one of their designers, and she talked about, she's from Shetland.
Okay.
I believe it's Shetland Islands, and she was talking about kind of how she got into knitting, and particularly there was a second day workshop where they would do a traditional Shetland Island hap, which is a shawl. So she talked about kind of finding this pattern.
But I think a hap is like a giant shawl. It's
Yeah,
usually a square.
Yeah,
right?
it's a
Or
huge
rectangle.
it's enormous. So, but it was really cool. She's talking about sort of the tradition of knitting on the Shetlands. I hope it's the Shetlands. And it was really neat. And then they had their guy, I forget his name, but he was talking about kind of the whole supply chain of wool in America and how they sort of interact with that because all of their stuff is from the United States. So the sheep are raised here, they spin it here, they dye it here, everything's done domestically, and sort of talking about the challenges in that because,
I heard that they're kind of the high-end American. You know, I can't think of like what the British version of Brooklyn Tweed is.
Maybe like Rowan.
Maybe Rowan, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's really nice wool. It's very sort of, they take a lot of care making sure it's ethically, I don't know,
sourced and made,
and they're supporting, you know. But it was really interesting. And then finally, the last bit was Jared Flood, who sort of walked us through his design process, which was really interesting too. It was really fun. It was really a great event. Again, the Yarnery, which put it on, it was like 160 people, which was really fun. Like lots of local knitters, and I sat with two people who, Ross, who is Smells Like Yarn.
Smells Like Yarn podcast.
So that was really fun. So we've watched his podcast for a long time. We sort of talked back and forth on the interwebs, and so it was really nice to meet him in person. And then sat with his friend who's named Chelsea Yates, I think is her last name. But her, on Instagram, she's Darn Yarn MN.
She's Darn Yarn MN.
Yeah.
Oh, you met her.
I met her.
Okay.
And so she does bags, she does local dye, she dyes, and they were both fabulous.
I didn't know that you met her.
Oh yeah, she was great. And then, what was amazing, so she is literally the fastest knitter I've seen in my entire life.
Oh, really?
So she whipped out this hat in like 6 hours. Like, people were like taking videos of her knitting. She was so fast. And she was super...
How was she knit? What was her style?
I think continental, so she had it, and she it was like watching a machine. So she was just like, people were literally, she was the one person she held the hat at the end, and she's like, do I get a prize? And they're like, you get a hat. You knit. But it was great, and her bags are fantastic. She has a little pin, which I thought was really fun, which she gave me, which says, Darn Yarn. She lives in Eau Claire now, but it's Darn Yarn MN, and you can't read it. It says, swatch for no one.
Swatch for no one.
So it's really fun because, you know, we've been watching Ross's podcast for a long time. And then, you know, met him, and he was super nice. And then met her, and I'm like, oh, what's your thing on Instagram? And of course I was already following her on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of fun. But it was a really fun day. Learned a lot, and yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and I bought a sock pattern. It's called Hazel Fern. I'll take it. And it uses their Peary, which is fingering weight American merino wool, and I loved the color, and so I will probably make those socks at some point. Again, it's
very tightly wound.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 100% American merino wool. So this would be something where you'd potentially hold the nylon with it, because there's no nylon in it. So you could wear it, or you would wear it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a little better picture of what the socks should look like. They have like chevrons and cables and all that stuff, and they can be done. They can be done standard or short length, so I'll do them short length.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, it was really fun. So yeah, that was that.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah. Oh, and then I got, they were also selling these mugs from the Yarnery, and it's called One Yarn, and I thought it was really fun because it's one yarn, and it's sort of got a yarn rainbow flag on it, and the proceeds from these mugs benefit the Minnesota Transgender Health Coalition.
Oh.
So it's like,
I used to work with them, didn't you?
I used to work with them in my old job, or my organization worked with them and stuff. And so it's a really great organization, and it's a cool mug, and it's a great supporting a fantastic organization. So yeah, it was really fun. Great day. Lots of knitting. Oh, and people, it was amazing. So, like, you know, they had people wearing, so, I felt like I think, I wore a t-shirt and a hoodie.
Oh, yeah.
And so everyone else was wearing their fabulously knitted and, you know, because, well, you know, they asked people to wear, if they had a Brooklyn tweed pattern to wear that, and so everyone was wearing these amazingly beautiful knitted garments, and I was like, so yeah.
Yeah. So once John got, so John had to work, and so he was here for a couple days, and then he flew down to Georgia to join us, to join me and my mom and her boyfriend and my brother and all of us that were down there in Georgia for Thanksgiving. And so while we were down there, we went to, I would say, probably one of my favorite yarn shops that I've ever been to, and I've been to, you know, some in DC and, you know, Atlanta, and every city we go, Denver, every city we go to the yarn stores, and it is one of my favorite stores anywhere. We've talked about it before. It's called the Fuzzy Goat, and it's in Thomasville, Georgia. And the woman who owns the shop, her name is Cadence, and what she had done is taken this building that was kind of I wouldn't say it's falling down, but it was dilapidated, not being used, and I think there were like holes in the roof and stuff where things had fallen through, and she basically renovated this building and opened her yarn store, and it is so cozy and well decorated and well laid out, but then she's got so many cool things. There's stuff everywhere without it feeling cluttered.
Yeah,
it feels really cozy and homey.
Right.
So anyway, we went there. It's about an hour and a half drive from where my mom lives, and we went, took her with us because we had to go there since we were close.
Well, and two things. I had they do a birthday coupon for your birthday month. So my birthday was earlier in November, so I had a $20 off coupon.
And I don't know what the extent of their online store is, but I know that you can buy stuff from Fuzzy Goat online.
Yeah, for sure. And then they also were on a Black Friday sale, right, which is lovely too.
Yeah, we went on Black Friday. So yeah, so it was an amazing Black Friday sale. I can't remember the specifics, but it was a significant.
It was like buy one get something of the same value, like 70% off.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
It was crazy. So we're gonna show off what we got.
Yay!
I've got a bunch of dental floss in my bag because I use that to keep my live stitches when I have to put stuff on waste yarn. So I got 2 skeins of yarn, which I'll show in a minute. And then I got
the buttons.
Oh, that was what the yarn was in. Alright, so this is Our Lane Handcrafts from Tallahassee, Florida. And I didn't realize that Thomasville, Georgia is 30 miles or something like that from Tallahassee, Florida. So Tallahassee is the capital of Florida on the Panhandle, and so it's just north of that. And so I got these buttons, and it says made from salvaged antique furniture. So she takes antique furniture and stuff like that, and she makes buttons and stuff out of it. I think she had some other things other than buttons, maybe like a shawl pin or something. I can't remember exactly what all. But I got these buttons for that hat that I showed earlier. They're going to go up on the front flap of the hat. Then I got some of these. I had never seen these, but I thought they would be fun to try. They're made by Clover, and they're circular stitch holders. So it looks basically like thick. Well, it looks like almost like a cable, like a thin cable for circular needles, and it looks like it's got like a needle on the end. So I don't know anything about them. I just saw them and thought I would give them a try. So you know, let us know in the comments or whatever if you've ever tried these before. So I've had several patterns lately that call for doing this. The hat and the sweater vest that I'm doing, and so I was just curious how these were. Then for the yarn, I got, I didn't really have a pattern I was buying for, and so whenever I run into that situation, I know I'm going to always be knitting socks because I'm obsessed. So I'm like, well, if I want to get something, I should get something that is sock yarn. And so, and when I travel to other cities and try out new yarn stores, I always buy some of the sock yarn from local dyers. So this is Copper Corgi, which we love Copper Corgi, and it's her, what's she call her sock yarn? Is it
Savannah Sock?
Yeah, Savannah Sock, which is 100% merino. And this is her one-shot, so she has this thing called one-shot speckle pot, and it's basically dyeing that she's experimenting and stuff, and she'll never repeat the pattern. So I just thought this was so pretty, so beautiful. So I can get it apart. And so this is the yarn, and it's amazing. It's this, turquoisey blues, and then it's got reds kind of thrown in with it. So it's awesome. And then the other one was someone I had never heard of called So Happy Jane. Mm-hmm. And that's SEW Happy Jane. I don't know if she's local, if she's in Georgia or where, but I'll have to look that up. It says SoHappyJane.com. But it's 75% merino, 25% nylon, and it's her bouncy fingering.
Ooh.
And it's the colorway is Agate Beach.
Oh.
So it's kind of it is a gray color.
But it's got purples
and
in
then
it.
Mixed in with the gray are purple and turquoise and gold. You can see there. So I just really liked that combination for socks. So.
And the nice thing is that because our stash is so manageable, we can totally buy new yarn.
That is not true.
Oh God, it's like
we're not as bad as some people. Not like the Yarn Hoarder or some other people.
I know, but it's.
I mean, I'm not criticizing because give us a couple of years and we'll get there.
Really, really, really trying not to buy more yarn.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to...
Sometimes you have to. I mean, it's a requirement. Yeah. It's not like you have a choice.
No. I mean, yeah. I'm really trying to, like, use stuff that I already have. And I was on a pretty good track record for a while, but I kind of went off the deep end this last couple of weeks. Alright, so what did I get? So I got a couple of things. I got... the first thing I got was this thing. It's called the Wonder Woman Kit. And it is a pattern where you
That's actually Cadence in the picture.
Yes. So you can see...
That owns the Fuzzy Goat.
So it's Carissa Browning's Wonder Woman pattern. It is a shawl that ends up looking like Wonder Woman. The W is no short rows. And...
Does she have a cape? Does Wonder Woman have a cape?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
She does. So Linda Carter wore one in some of the TV show, but generally she doesn't. She just has kind of the bustier and...
I was just wondering if that was supposed to look like her cape.
No, it's just her symbol. So this is the pattern, and so I've been kind of thinking about doing this pattern for a while. We have again, we sing for this Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus. We have an event, a fundraiser coming up in March that I'm kind of running.
He is running it. I don't know. He's kind of running it.
I'm kind of running it. So I was like, I'm gonna, I want to knit something for it, and
as a silent auction.
As a silent auction item. And so I've been looking at this. I've actually been looking at this for a while, and then I went down to Fuzzy Goat, and she had the pattern, and it was done in Copper Corgi. So, the patterns are Heartbreaker, which is this gorgeous red.
And I feel like this is one of the things that she does where she overdyes it.
Yeah. So this is the...
Like, so beautiful.
This is the red, and this is called, same sort of thing, Savannah Spock. It's called Midas. Looks like Midas, and I mean, I really like just having done with her stuff. I just love the way her dyeing comes out with these amazing grades. It's just so like this is what it's gonna look like next to each other. Is that Yeah, sort
It's
of.
gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be gorgeous. I'm really excited, and I have a deadline on it, which I'm excited about.
That's true.
And who was the person in our comments who was on Instagram? So what's really fun is Little Bush Baby, who is has posted on Instagram for our cow, is doing this pattern for our.
For a knit along.
Yeah.
I thought she had made a comment in one of the comments.
Yeah, but it was on the.
Oh,
So,
is it the same exact one?
yeah, it's the same. It's
Like
the
Carissa Browning?
Carissa Browning. So I'm excited because she said that she has a deadline also, so we can sort of power through it together.
Nice.
So she's the same.
I feel like Little Bush Baby either has a podcast or dyes yarn, or I should know that.
Yeah,
but
she's from Glasgow, and she's got. I don't know.
Yeah.
We can look. It looks like might be a dyer, or she's definitely a. I don't know.
She has an Etsy store.
Okay. Bueno. So anyway, I'm very excited about that. So that'll be fun to work on, and yeah, I'm excited. I know. I hear you can twist them back into normalness. How about that?
So, the other thing that's fun that we did as an activity recently was we got to go for like 2 hours to Vogue Knitting Live.
Because Vogue Knitting Live was in Minneapolis this year.
Yeah, it's Vogue Knitting Live Midwest or whatever.
Yeah. And it basically came at the worst weekend we could have ever picked. So Scott was doing like these crazy shifts at work because they had to go live. It was just nuts. So we were able to go for a couple of hours. We didn't do any classes. We just went to the market, which was really fun. I bought oh, fudge, I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot. I brought one more thing at the Fuzzy Goat that I want to talk about.
Oh, okay. I'm not doing the best job ever at scanning your
Yeah. So the other thing I got at the Fuzzy Goat was again, for a future project, I'm doing this one ring shawl, the one ring scarf, it's a double knit scarf, and I'm using.
Wait, hang on. It's not a shawl.
No, it's a scarf.
Okay.
We're getting a little loopy here.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's basically a double knit scarf that has the dark elven script from Lord of the Rings on it. I'm very excited. So I've had this.
I feel like you're rushing yourself, and I want to hear all
the.
I want to hear all the details.
So
the for those of you who don't know, in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, there's the ring,
and it's
in the Hobbit too, and it has the dark elven
script on it.
And is that the saying that says
one ring to rule them all, one ring to bind them? Yeah. Yeah.
And and in the dark shall find them,
something
or something like that. Yeah.
So
so that is in a elven script, and that's what that saying in that script is what makes up the pattern of the shawl.
Scarf.
Oh God.
We need naps.
Oh, we
got
naps.
up.
We got like
today.
4 hours of sleep.
So anyway, I've had this Bare Naked Wools. Its color is chrome. I've had it for a while, and
awesome.
I knew that I wanted one of the colors to be it. So I've been searching for the right color to pair with it. I was thinking about doing an ox blood color with it,
like
that, which would be cool. So, and I actually bought a skein of yarn earlier, but I was like, okay. But then we went to the Fuzzy Goat, and I found this yarn. It's called from Dragonfly Fibers. It is Superwash Merino, Norbert, I guess.
Yeah, the colorway is Norbert.
No, the colorway is called Pixie.
No, I think that's because she puts the stickers of the colorway on.
Okay,
there.
so it's Pixie, but it's
the
this,
line.
Yeah, so it's this amazing. I don't know if you can really see it that well. It's sort of.
Yeah, we'll have to show a close up.
It's like a moss green amazingness. So it's gonna go like that. It's going to be really cool. Yeah. So that was, and then I got one more skein from them, sorry.
Well, it's green, but it's also, I don't know if you can see this, but it's got like browns and golds in it.
It's a very sort of...
But it's super overdyed. It's almost black overdyed over top of these subtle colors.
Yeah, so it's really cool. So that's going to be the scarf that I am putting a goal for next winter.
Okay. Because that's going to be tough.
I don't know. It might not be as... It's a really long pattern, so I think it is... but it's about 50 stitches across and then 540 rows. So, having only kind of... I've double knit... I started that Harry Potter thing, which I rediscovered in the bag thing.
In our last episode, yeah.
Right. So I'm going to do it. I'm very excited about it. I'm just giving myself some time to do it because, again, double knitting is something I don't know how to do. I've heard people say once you get the hang of it, it's really fast.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. This yarn that you bought is also So Happy Jane.
Oh.
The one that I bought, that's the agate.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, talk about that.
And then and I mentioned that the Fuzzy Goat was having this Black Friday sale, so I got to so it was like buy one, get something 70% off for the same thing. And so I got to the thing, she's like, you should get another skein of the yarn. And so I had my eye on this one, which is kind of like amazing blue. It's called Bouncy Fingering, like that one. And the colorway is Ross Poldark.
So for those of you who know Ross Poldark.
Yeah, you'll be happy about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know what I'll do with it. I just love the color, and it was very inexpensive. So I basically, like every time I go to the Fuzzy Goat, I just bought a ton. And Cadence knows us by name.
Cadence knows us by name.
And she knows your mom by name. She's so amazing. Lovely.
The only retreat that we've done was with her. So.
Yeah.
That was put on by her stores.
So okay, I'm sorry. We went a little higgledy-piggledy with the order, but that's okay. I think everyone knows.
So now we're going to talk about Vogue Knitting Live. So.
Yes.
Vogue Knitting Live.
Vogue Knitting Live.
So we talked about the fact that because of the schedules and everything, we only got to go to a very small part. So we went to the market, and when we got to the market, we discovered that
there was a panel.
There was a panel about to happen, yes.
So it was really fantastic.
So the panel consisted of 3 people that are kind of knitting celebrities. Sockmatician Nathan Taylor. Nathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Susan B. Anderson, and then
Anna Maltz.
And it was so great. It was like only a half an hour long.
Yeah.
And they just talked about generalities.
Because they're all really working color work, and so it was a lot of it was about selecting color for their pattern designs and what they knit. It was really, really interesting. Super fun.
Yeah. And so then at the end of it, everybody started like getting excited, and we're like, what's going on? And it was like, oh, they're doing a yarn toss, which I had never heard of.
Right.
Basically, they took a bunch of donated yarn what was the company?
Pantone.
No, that's the people who make the color. Karen. So Karen had partnered with, at least for the yarn that we won, with Pantone, who are the people who kind of own the color swatches in the official colors of the world. And so Karen had donated a bunch of yarn, and they were just throwing it at people, throwing it in the crowd.
So it was funny because we were actually in the front row.
Yeah, I got anxious.
And I'm like, ugh. So it was funny because I ended up with a skein of yarn, but then 3 weeks later we were in Georgia, and the cheerleaders were throwing the footballs, little tiny footballs, into the crowd. And I'm like, this is just like Vogue Knitting Live.
Yeah, so we won this. It's acrylic. I think it's 60% acrylic, 20% nylon, and 20% wool. And it's a little kit of. It ends up being about 100 grams.
Yeah.
And it's bulky weight.
So you can like make a hat out of it or something.
Yeah, it's to make a hat. So we were trying to get out of there because I was a little overwhelmed by all the people yelling and screaming for free yarn.
Yeah.
But we stopped just on the other side of the crowd because John wanted to buy some yarn, which you're going to show in a minute,
and
right?
the yarn sort of landed
and
at
the
my
yarn
feet.
kind of like, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, great. So then I was at this, I guess I'm really into greens these days. So I was walking around and just kept going back to this booth, and they had this beautiful, I loved the colors they had. It's it's called Nirvana, and it is a nirvanayarn.com. The yarn is Uruguayan merino, but they're a dyer, and the colorway is called Nirvana, and
I just realized it's bulky weight.
Is it?
It says it's bulky weight.
Oh, interesting. It doesn't feel like that, but whatever. So this is what it looks like, and I loved, there's something about the way the color is. I don't know, I just want to, it feels like if I ever wanted to make a single color sweater or something like that, it'd be really cool, but I just loved it, and I'm like,
I thought you were buying it for a specific pattern.
I was gonna buy it for the one ring scarf, and then I got the other green I liked better, but I still love this. It's just so
make a hat out of it or something.
Soft and pretty, and
it does not look like bulky to me, but what do I know?
Yeah, no. But anyway, they were a really nice couple. They'd driven it from San Diego to have a booth there, and it was just beautiful. It was like all hung like this, and they had all these colors that were really pretty, and yeah. But that was our Vogue. We had a very limited Vogue Knitting line. That's not for me.
Just set it down.
Vogue Knitting Live experience, which is too bad because like
we'll
Arnie and Carlos were in town. There was an event at Stephen B, and it would have been really fun to do more, but it just was not in the cards for us. Yeah. So, which is fine.
Yeah. So what's great is we live in a city where there's so much knitting stuff going on all the time, and there's so many stores to go to. We're really, 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 really lucky. But for those people who don't live in this area, I mean, Minnesota has a huge Scandinavian history.
Yeah.
Settled by people from Norway and Sweden, and so luckily a lot of that knitting culture is kind of come over with that. So we're really lucky in that regard. So, last but not least, we should probably just touch base on our Cal, our knit along. So it is the Finish It Cal, and the guidelines are that you should try to find, our goal is to encourage people and encourage ourselves to complete a work in progress that you've had languishing in a project bag in a dark corner of your knitting area
for about 6 months. 6 months is kind of like,
well, I think what we said was less than 50% of the project is currently done.
Yep.
Or
it's been put away for 6 months or more.
Right. And I think
I had many projects that fit both that criteria.
And I think that's sorry, I have to pause for a minute and laugh because my family is having a family group text on my phone, and it's pretty hilarious. But so 50% or less completed on the project, or it's been languishing in a project bag for 6 months or more, or both. And so that kind of, if you've got 0% of the project done and you want to start a new project, that's less than 50%.
You're finishing it.
So it could be something that you've had as a work in progress in your head but never put on your needles.
Yeah.
So, we've got prizes. So we've got prizes that were donated, yarn that was donated by Dye Monkey Yarns, Jessie.
And then with the yarn that I won
from the Manitoba Fiber Festival. And then we had Hot Pink Sock Reviews is her Instagram name, and then she's the Rusted Stitch, Stephanie Lewis, she's in Iowa, which is the next state down from us. The most amazing project bag.
Yeah.
So this is it.
It is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous, but I don't know what it's made out of, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, she's got some amazing tea in here, but it's canvas lined. It is so extremely soft.
And it's gorgeous.
It has this really nice leather handle on it. And then it's got these canvas, if I can get the thing off there. It's got these canvas things where you can cinch it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't tell you how well made this is and how soft it is. I was just blown away.
I basically want to stuff it full of like stuffing and use it as a pillow.
I know. It's amazing.
It's really...
Yeah, it's the rusted stitch. She's got a nice wooden tag on it. And she's got, in the rusted stitch Etsy store, she's got many variations on this bag, but she's got lots of other bags too. So this will be...
You know what that you're thinking about? What does John want for Christmas?
It's just amazing. I'm just blown away by it.
Yeah.
How soft it is and how well made it is. It's just so... It just feels sturdy.
Yeah.
But it's soft.
Yeah.
And I think that's because it's got such a nice lining on the, or nice fabric on the outside, but then it's got the canvas on the inside.
Right.
And it does have like a box bottom.
Which is nice too.
Yeah. So it's a really nice bag. So
and again, as you saw from our last thing, we have plenty of project bags, but I think we may need to acquire.
Faux show.
Excellent.
So anyway, that's the newest prize to go along, and so we're going to be drawing winners from the Ravelry, the finished object group that I set up on Ravelry. It's under our Ravelry group. And then also, if you post on Instagram and use the hashtag STNS Finish It Cal, there's about 5 posts out there right now of people. So what we'll do is we'll do a random number generator for that as well, and we'll pull one of the posts from Instagram as well.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah. Happy Saturday, everybody. Happy
Saturday. We hope everybody in the United States had a good Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody that celebrates Christmas is
gearing up,
having fun with that. And we will be back shortly, or soon. I don't know, shortly sounds odd, but we'll be back soon. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.